the issue of voters taking photos of their ballot sheets has generated some conversation, especially as many wonder what part of the law forbids voters from doing that. Well, thankfully, we have lawyer Kpebu to help with some answers. Thank you for your time this morning, lawyer. What does the law say about persons taking photographs of their ballot papers after they've decided who to vote for?
So the law, specifically, when we say the law, we are talking about the Representation of People's Act. The Representation of People's Act. Part of it is popularly called the ROPA. What the law specifically states is that a voter shall not communicate what he has voted to any other person. So meaning that when the voter enters he takes the ballot and then enters the booth and casts the vote or the ballot, he's not supposed to communicate information about it to any other person. If a voter does that, that voter has committed a crime and can be fined. Can be fined or sent to jail for up to 2 years. So that is Section 31 that we are talking about of the Representation of the People's Act. Yeah. Yeah.
So is there any criminal punishment for this? I just want us to get into that bit because there are some lawyers who hold the view that it's not a criminal offense. And so if somebody decides to waive that right to have their vote secret, for example, you cannot arrest them. And if you even arrest them, what charges are you going to prefer?
No, that's it. Unless I didn't hear well, let's go over so that I will be sure I heard well. You mean when the voter has voted and then takes a picture of it and sends to any other person, some people are saying that's not a crime.
I am saying that my vote is my secret, right?
Yes.
And I'm saying that there are some lawyers who believe that I also have the right to waive that, to say that, okay, it's my secret. For example, in an exit poll, I can tell you who I voted for, right? That's not a crime. Is it a crime to say I voted for person A, B, or C?
Oh, yeah, no, that one is not a crime. But
okay.
When you take the picture, you see, taking the picture and sending it out, that is where there's a problem. So
okay.
Listen, let's go, let's do this, see how it's even stated. It says that no person shall, so I'm talking about section 31C. It says no person shall, directly or indirectly, induce a voter to display his ballot paper after he has marked or selected it, so as to make known to another person the name of the candidate for whom he has or has not voted. Yes. So
is the key word here not induce? So if I decide on my own to do that, is that a criminal offense?
Okay, by yourself, not any other person prompting you.
Not at all.
Okay, yes. Oh, then that one definitely. The law doesn't prescribe that. It says that, it doesn't, there's nothing specifically saying that you cannot do so.
All right.
But so specifically, that's the voter himself, specifically telling who he has voted for. Yes, there's no express prohibition against that.
So in this case where persons have been arrested for taking photographs of their ballot sheets, what then happens? Does this become a no case at all?
Yeah, looking at it, that's going to be a very tall order for the police or whoever is investigating that case. At least based on Section 31, that's going to be a very tall order. Okay.
Lawyer, what about people who've also had their phones taken from them and searched because there was suspicion that they may have taken photographs of their ballot papers while they were in the booth? Is the police or any other security person allowed to just take my phone and say, I want to go through your photos?
That is the one I was referring to originally. That is wrong. no other person shall do so. So that's the classical one that the law provides against. So the law is saying that when a voter is in the booth casting his ballot, no person shall attempt to see exactly what that person is doing or ask him to display the ballot so that this other person can see what the voter has voted for.
Lawyer, I don't know if you're struggling to hear me, but what I'm asking is, let me use a scenario. I finish casting my vote and I step out, and then a security official thinks that I may have taken a photograph which they say or claim is illegal, and so they take my phone and they start searching my photos. Even though I didn't do anything like that in the first place, do they have that right to take my phone and search it based on suspicion that I may have taken a photo of my ballot sheet?
Oh, okay. No, not expressly provided in this law. So it's not expressly provided that taking the photo is a crime in itself. It is when, okay, and also, yes, if you voluntarily share it, so far, it means that there is some lacuna in the law, yes.
Okay.
If you voluntarily share to not a crime. So the police don't have any locus in taking the phone.
Doesn't this then leave a gap in the law, because then questions are also raised about possible vote buying as a result of these photos, and so people may want to use them as evidence to say, look, I voted for person A or B, so you need to maybe pay me or compensate me, or it is a confirmation of some part payment for which they may want the full payment of. How do we deal with this law to address the possibility of this being used for vote buying?
Yeah, so obviously in that case, we will need an amendment, because if you look at it, the law has specifically prohibited the EC officials, the interpreters, election agents, and the rest from communicating such information. And yet, we didn't prescribe the voter himself communicating it. So it's a lacuna. I join in that call for us to look at the law again in terms of this taking the voter himself taking pictures of it and sending it out.
All right, lawyer, I have one of our viewers on social media who has a question, and I just want to put that to you to help get some answers. Does the police require a warrant to search my phone?
Oh, yes, it's usually standard. Even if they suspect you've committed an offense, what they can do is to seize, but they cannot, if so facto, go ahead to search. No. There's a decision of the court against unlawful searches. So you see, let's do this. The law has struck a balance. If you suspect the person has committed a crime, obviously you cannot go to court to go and get a search warrant and come back. Maybe the person would have fled. So the police can initially seize the phone, okay? But they cannot go ahead to search. No, to search, then they would need a warrant from the court. Because you see, when you go into a phone, there are different parts of the phone, private data and all that.
Okay.
So in order to be able to search, you have to come to court, justify to the court. Then the court will restrict the police as to what they are searching for. Not that they will be like an octopus all over in every part of the phone.
All right.
That's why the search warrant is very important.
All right. Give me a few minutes. I'll come back to you to find out what your take is on whether the EC or its officials have the power to turn people back when they do not appear at polling stations or centers in their nose masks. But let's take what the EC's Director of Electoral Services, Dr. Sribo Kwako, had to say about the issue of people taking photos of their ballot sheets.
The law is specific that the choice of balloting should be in secrecy. So the moment you take snapshot of your thumbprint or the ballot paper, you have breached the law. And yesterday, I know 3 people so far have been arrested. And it is my wish that those people are given custodial sentence before 7th December to serve as warning to others. We should be people who respect the laws of the country. We cannot take the laws into our own hands. That is indiscipline. So anybody who did that started the law, and they should bow their heads in shame. Why would you take a snapshot of your vote? What is the need for it? And by so doing, you are breaching the laws of the country, and you should be sanctioned severely and with swiftness that it demands to serve as warning to others.
Well, as you heard from lawyer Martin Kpebu, it may not be as clear-cut as Dr. Serebo Kwaku is putting it in terms of breaking the law. But let me come to you as we wrap up our conversation with you, lawyer Martin Kpebu. So during the special voting exercise, apart from issue of taking of photos, there was the concern that a lot of people didn't come in nose masks, and some of them who even came, some came in branded nose masks. I mean, political parties branded nose mask, and that's not even allowed at the polling centers. Does the EC have the power to turn people away if they do not appear in nose masks on December 7th?
Hello?
Hello, lawyer Kpebu. Can you hear me, please?
I lost the last part. I said some people come in with...
I was saying that, yeah, people came to the polling centers in political party branded nose masks. That's not allowed, because it's branding, and you don't allow that at the polling centers or stations. So some of them had to take it off. Others didn't come in nose masks at all. And the EC raised concerns about that, obviously because of the coronavirus pandemic. But I'm asking if the EC or its officials have the power to turn people away if they do not appear in a nose mask.
Strictly speaking, it would appear so, because you see, we have a law of the land that says that if you are coming out in public, you should be in a mask. Okay? Yes, so if a voter, a prospective voter turns out without a mask, it would appear that the EC will be condoning, will be aiding and abetting in breaking the law if they allow such a voter to vote without a mask. So that one I can perfectly understand when the EC turns away such persons.
I appreciate your time this morning. Martin Kpebu is a lawyer, and we've been talking about issues that came up after the special voting exercise on Tuesday. Now, apart from these that we're speaking about, there's also the other one about vote buying and the fact that some parties and their representatives were at polling centers with snacks and food ready to give to persons either before they cast their votes or after they've done so. Here's what the EC's Director of Electoral Services had to say about that.
In the queue, they don't have to do that. They'll be disrupting the process. But if the people had already finished voting, the choice has been made. So if they're going and somebody decides to give them food, what I do, and I wouldn't say that that one was used to influence them. But if they were going to vote or they were in the queue before voting, I don't think it's to be proper.
Okay.
I would say that all stakeholders, the media, civil society organizations, observers, party reps, and the party executives, the voters all comported themselves. We are expecting that we should replicate them on 7th December.
You heard the Director of Electoral Services at the Electoral Commission, Dr. Serebo Kwaku, speaking to Mama Vio Wusuabuaje earlier on the AM show.